We're really talking about identifying opportunities, something EERIE may be remembered. I think that's very important. A project and a successful project. I think if the community looks at the project in 5, 6 or so years after it has been finished, they know that's what it has accomplished. I think that's very important. There's lots of stuff going on, lots of identifying a few potential success stories. I think it's very important and then nurturing them to bring them to success.
Hi, my name is Thomas Jung. I'm a climate modeler from the Alfred Wegener Institute in Bremerhaven and Germany, and I have the pleasure of coordinating EERIE. We have started to set up the models. I mean, some of the groups have already started these so-called phase 1 simulations. I think we have sharpened our plans, our original plans, adjusted them a little bit to some ongoing changes, new insights. And I think now with the hackathon that's currently going on here at the, in Bremerhaven, sort of people now also have, sort of people across different career stages. I think they also have now first time hands-on experience with these new data. I mean, one has to say, the kind of models we are using, they are new. The data that we are using are new, sort of higher resolution, more complicated, different meshes. So learning the methods in order to extract the information out of the data is very important. And I think this hackathon in that regard will be a game changer.
And the reason it's important is because the mixed layer depth really depends on how you compute it, and you need to be sure to have the same criteria.
I'm Anne-Marie Tréguier. I'm a CNRS scientist working in Brest, France, and interested in the effect on ocean eddies on climate. The projection with eddy-rich model, I mean, it's still in its infancy, so I think, it's very difficult to anticipate what we will find. I would expect perhaps new findings regarding the upwelling region. These regions are very important for fisheries. Perhaps new results also about the way the Antarctic and the Arctic are warming.
Whereas the one that are in counter directions to each other, this is enhanced. So actually this is a way of seeing that overall you have negative windward due to the eddies, and this is what we consider eddy killing.
I'm Dian Putrasahan, research scientist working at the Max Planck Institute for Meteorology in Hamburg. The project itself is a really ambitious project, trying to do both the science and the technology, pushing the frontiers of it. We have a lot of work to do, but that it's not something to be afraid of, but rather, cool, there's stuff to do, let's work together. It does also show how important it is that we collaborate, delegate the task that's needed, and basically work together, because this is not a one person, nor is it a one institution sort of endeavor, but rather it really needs the collective, the whole entire project, even with partners, external partners too, and all that, to have this to take off and be successful.
One of the ideas in Work Package 11 is to try to make some library for doing data processing. We have a name for it. It's called Nereus. It's an ancient Greek god of the sea. That would allow everybody, all the models, regardless of their structured grid or unstructured grid, to do some basic operations and to do them efficiently, so that we don't write new code over and over again. My name is Nikolai Kolunov. I work in AVI as a senior scientist, and for the last 15, I think, years, I'm doing very high resolution modeling, and in the last 5 years, it's more coupled. We have increased the amount of data, basically 100 times increase in the amount of data. And that's not the data that you usually work with in usual climate science. It's not the data that you can easily download to your computer and start to do some analysis. You have to change the way of working with the data to something that is more advanced, let's say, or different, basically. relatively complicated thing to do this right, and to do it in a way that you do it like quickly, so that it allows you interactive analysis.
My main summary at a very high flight level is, I mean, what we set out to do and the plans we put together, I don't know, 1.5 or 2 years ago, I think they are still great and timely. And I think what we are planning to do and are doing is still cutting edge. And to some degree, it has been also nicely reinforced by, in my view, by, nicely put in terms of, tier 1, tier 0 high performance computing by Bjorn. And with this, and something like 34 minutes ahead of schedule, I'm happy to close our ETH General Assembly 2023.